Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, Srinivasan. I'm doing good. How are things at your end?
Things are okay. So, were you able to do anything more on this competition? Or I tried a bunch of things, none of them worked. And so I'm kind of back trying to just improve ensemble. One of the things I tried was what Steve had suggested, which is, he mentioned this thing where you could potentially eke out a few notches in performance by retraining the models on the entire data set, but with different seeds on things that you know are performing well. Once you've checked them out with different folds and tested it out on the private data, on the public leaderboard and all this kind of stuff, then just take those um, not take those models, but take the framework of the model, meaning, and instead of training it on the folds and stuff, just train it on the entire data set, but with different seeds. Now, interestingly, when I tried that for, the two-state training that many people have done, as well as the GRU-based model, the recipes are all there. So I tried training it with 5 different seeds, and it turns out that and this is a generic question that I want to ask Steve once he's back. I think it'll probably be another couple of weeks before he hits back. But the challenge I faced was the overfitting problem. That is, what happens, I feel, is that when you're holding out like 10%, whatever, small amount, right? 10% or whatever, then you at least get some good um, signal on which of the models to choose. Uh, so if you're training for, let's say, 5 epochs, you may pick the second or the third epoch model because your validation scores are better on that. And your fifth epoch model is actually something that overfits, so it's kind of not good. But when you do the um, training on the full data set, any kind of validation you do will by necessity always, or will by just the nature of the process you're adopting, will continue to go down, your training loss. So you will invariably pick the model which is overfitted. So for example, if you're doing 5 epochs, you'll pick the model at the end of 5 epochs. So what I did to counteract that was I looked at most of the training runs and figured out when um, close to which epoch the training begins to yield good results and kind of cut off the training epochs at that number. But despite doing that, while it gives me close to the best results, it's not the best results. So my performance doesn't actually improve, it degrades a little bit. So that methodology that Steve suggested doesn't at least seem to work in this competition.
Yeah,
So, and then of course, uh, guys, like I discussed a couple of weeks back, the guys were saying, oh, or at least Chris, that a single model for many of them can reach up to 0.26 or 0.25. And then by adopting a couple of different techniques, they get it down to 0.23. But I have never gotten any of my models to any of the 0.2 kind of range. The best I have is of a single model is, excuse me, is 0.34. And then I have to ensemble to get it to zero point 0.3 or I have multiple ensembles that are working at 0.29, but nothing close to the 0.25 or 0.26 with a single model. So, I mean, there's not much time left. That's just a couple, 3 days Monday by 4 p.m. my time is the final submission. So the only thing that I had thought of up my sleeve that might be easy enough to do, which I'll do if time permits today, tomorrow, is probably in the training itself. And I still have to kind of figure out how to implement this for each of the folds. But, the thing I think we've discussed it in the past called stochastic weight averaging, which kind of does an ensembling of the weights in a single training run as the training run gets close to convergence.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just averages the weights, and that's built into PyTorch. So I have to figure out how to incorporate that into training and make that work. Don't know whether I'll be successful or there are nuances that I might face as I get into trying to implement it. But that's the only other idea I have at this stage without, a lot of work, which it's hard to do in the last 2 days. But so any other things that you were able to try or?
Yeah, I've been looking at the ensemble models here. The 2.9 scores notebooks that we have, 0.229 to be precise. So those
Yeah,
no.
there I was able to add another and kind of playing with that because I was able to add the 0.34 model that I trained on Colab offline, and that so far at least it continues to give me the 0.29. I'm hoping I can get lucky with that and reduce maybe it to below 0.29 because given that that notebook is already available, so many people are on 0.29 already, right? So even if it gives me a little bit of a boost, I'm hoping. But the one caveat to any of this is because the 0.29, 0.3 and stuff use weights, it's a kind of gamble because those weights may completely be inappropriate for all of the private data. That's the risk we run.
Mm-hmm. So
because the
what's
weights
the
are all kind of tuned because whatever weights you're using, right, to get to 0.29 and 0.3 may not be the appropriate weights to get the best score on the private data set.
okay, I got you. Uh, so is there any alternative that you see?
The only alternative, or I don't, the only little bit of confidence as to why that may not be the case in some situations. For example, in the 0.30 model, I'm less sure of this in the 0.29. I haven't played with the 0.29 as much as I've played with the 0.30 weights. Is what I've seen in that combination of ensembles is that a wider range of weights keeps the model at the same score, at the same low score, I should say. So if that is typically the case, then I have a little more confidence that the weights won't matter as much. You see what I'm saying? Like if you can vary the weights over a whole range, like let's say there are 3 models A, B, C, and in one case you go with weights of I'm just going to pick a random set of weight, but let's say for each of the 3 models, it's like 0.4, 0.1, 0.5. And in fact, it's kind of the example I'm quoting is, I think in the 0.29 case or whatever is similar to what the way the guy has combined the 3 models. I think he uses 0.45, 0.1, and 0.45 or something like that, 0.45, 0.15, 0.4. But let's say I change that to 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, and 0.6, and the model still gives me a 0.29 score, that, at least to me, suggests that, the model is not so, the ensemble is not so sensitive to the weights that it doesn't give a good result with respect to the data. When that is the case, then I'm a little more confident that the ensemble will perform well even on the private data, and it will not be too hypersensitive to the weight that you have applied. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If it's extremely sensitive, like if I change from 0.45, 0.15, 0.4 to, I change it to 0.4, 0.1, 0.5, and it completely goes off the deep end, and instead of 0.29, it gives me a score of like 0.32 or something like that, then what it means is, the weights determine a huge part of how the ensemble is performing. And in that case, I get very nervous that on a private leaderboard, it could completely throw me off. So I've been playing with the weights the last few days, and as I said, I haven't played as much with all four. Now I've thrown in my model into the mix as well. So that's something else I might do today and tomorrow is, while I try this other thing and see whether I can get it working, I might try the playing with the weights and see whether the model is fairly stable or robust, if you will, to reasonable tweaks in the weights. And if that's the case, then that's the model that's the ensemble I want to pick, because I have more confidence in that ensemble kind of giving me a decent score on the private leaderboard as well.
What's the score like here?
Sorry?
What's the score that you are receiving?
Same, 0.29 at least, but I'm trying different variations to see whether it improves.
Okay. So you added that too. Did you remove anything from that ensemble or just
I tried in one case to just add my model and replace the K plus E plus KE model.
okay?
Because my model is kind of similar to that. And that combination also gave me 0.29. So at least tells me that, my model is equivalent in performance, so to speak, roughly, as the K plus E plus KE model. But then now I'm trying a combination of 4 sets of model. One is the GRU, the second is the K plus E plus KE. The third is ensemble of models trained just on embeddings, just on EEG data, EEG raw plus EEG spectrograms. And the fourth is my model, which is a combination of spectrograms of Kaggle, EEG, and then combining the two. By that I mean you kind of superpose the two, so you get like a 6 or 8 layer spectrogram. So I tried, so I'm trying with all 4, and I've got that down to about 0.30. The question, question is, can I get it to 0.29 or below? We'll see. Yeah, I think the winners are going to be the guys who have figured out how with a single model, they're getting to this 0.25, 0.26 kind of score. So I'm interested in really learning that the pipeline that, Chris and people like him have finally developed, and whether they use external data for that or not, and whether they've used, I think from what Chris says, because he's talked about pseudo labeling, I assume he's still using this 2-level kind of approach. The first level is to train the model on only the large number of experts and then predict on the lower number of experts and then use those predictions and combine it with the actual ground truth data in order to kind of bootstrap a better model overall. But, I haven't, and whether that is done with the aid of external models is the question. Because if you just do it on the models that are already provided, I think one guy does something like that, but that doesn't get you even to the score that I have with just combining the EEG and Kaggle spectrograms. Because that score, to me, I get down to 0.34, and the best that I've seen anybody do with all this pseudo labeling and all that with existing data is about 0.37.
Yeah, that's quite high.
Yeah. Of course, you can throw that into an ensemble, but that's not what at least Chris and people are saying. They get to the 0.26 to 5 scores with just a single pipeline of same type of model. I mean, it is an ensemble of folds, but that's all it is. So it's going to be interesting to see when the winners are revealed what kind of approaches they have taken.
Yeah, we have so many things. And after the competition is over, those guys at the top will release their notebooks too. So I'm looking forward.
To going through that and figuring out what's happening and stuff. Yeah. That would be very fascinating, because at least for this one, we caught it at a good time just when it started, and there haven't been too many new competitions. At least I've been more inclined to, in the future, maybe try a LLM competition, but there aren't any good LLM competitions that have surfaced yet. I'm hoping by the time we get done with it in the next week or two, some new competitions show up. I've seen some, but many of them are, similar to image related stuff. But I kind of want to see whether there are some new competitions with LLMs.
So I was going through this.
There are some, actually, that's not, now that I mentioned it, that's not true. There are some new ones that have shown up, which at least maybe I didn't see it, but there's like an AI mathematical Olympiad competition.
Yeah.
And there's, the good old, we have done this before, but automated essay scoring thing, that's back. AI mathematical scoring is back. There's also a predict new medicines with Pelka. I don't know whether that's a table-oriented competition or what the heck it is, but so there are some good ones. So we'll see. Once this ends, we can take a look at what all the interesting ones are, and it'll be fun. Oh, they just launched this Math Olympiad thing 5 days back. So
Yeah, the LLM one has 17 or 16 days left.
which one are you talking about?
The scoring.
Oh, the automated essay scoring. Yeah, that one we have done before too. No, that one has 3 months to go, right?
Oh, is it?
That's like 2.0, automated essay scoring 2.0. That's like 3 months. And of course, something else we have done, like the bird CLF. This time it's in like India too, by the way. Birds from the Western Ghats.
Oh, yes.
Any other thoughts, ideas of what else could be done with this, or?
Oh, we can try to, since there are only 2 days left, so I don't think so. We should try new things right now. But the ensemble is what I, I think we should be focusing on. With the previous months data that we have in terms of the model capacity and uh, the I don't know if there a efficiency track too? I mean,
No, not
so,
on this one. I haven't
yeah.
seen anything. Yeah.
So and so that's the way forward.
Yeah.
Because most of the stuff doesn't work, and those discussions and the code snippets that we have, they point to that ensembles are the only remaining thing that we
Yeah.
should be focusing on. And I was thinking the four model ensemble that you have. So how much time does it take? It's is it like too much? Is it less than 9 hours? The
No,
inference?
actually, yeah. It's fairly, it's only half the time or less, like 4 hours maybe or something. 3,
Oh.
4 hours.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't expect it to run out of time with the other. Um, yeah, it's not that bad. Okie dokie. Good luck. We'll hook up after the competition next week and see where we are.
Oh, and you are going for the holidays too, right? After next week or?
No, I'm still here. Sometime in May, I'll probably be out for a week or two. My daughter is graduating, so I'll be attending a graduation. But
Oh, nice. Okay then.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Talk to you next week. See where we end up. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Good luck.
Take care. Good
Bye.
luck.